for this fourth game, one way of looking at it is that we're putting things in order. And if you say to me, no, they're centers 1, 2, and 3, they're not really order, they're groups, you're right, I'm not going to argue with you. There's more than one way to skin this cat. But, 1, 2, and 3, that is an order. And I like my little tic-tac-toe diagram, so I'm using my multi-row ordering template. The rules say that if you've got W, you also have to have N. Everything that's at station 2 is also at station 1. And you have one plastic, one P, and it's not with glass. Everything gets used. We're told they do recycle 5 types. I'm ready to attack the questions. We got the global accounting question, so let's start with our rules. If you've got wood, you also have to have newsprint. Answer choice A breaks that rule, get rid of A. Second, everything that's at center 2 has to also be at center 1. Answer choice C breaks that rule, get rid of C. Finally, you've got one plastic, but answer choice E gives you 2, get rid of E. And that one plastic is not with glass. And answer choice D tries to make it with glass. Get rid of that. That leaves us only answer choice B, which I've already assessed here in my diagram. Now I'm ready to answer those other questions. I'll start with the directive questions. So 20, if 2 has 3 kinds of material. All right, if center 2 has 3 kinds of material, one thing we know about it is that it doesn't have plastic, because if it had plastic, we'd also have to have plastic at 1. But the 3 at center 2 are the same now as the 3 at center 1. If it's here, it's also here. That means no plastic here, no plastic here. Plastic's got to be here. And since we can't put glass and plastic together, glass has to be at center 2, which means it has to be at center 1. Now we get a sort of rule of 2 thing. Somebody has to recycle wood. Maybe it's center 2, which also means center 1, or maybe it's center 3. Now, if it's centers 2 and 1, if you've got wood, you've also got newsprint. That means our tin would be here. If it's center 3, if you've got wood, you've got newsprint. And that means tin has to be here. Now in these cases where you have the tin, you don't have wood, because then you'd also have newsprint. So what have we got left? Glass means no plastic, no wood. Newsprint is all that's left. And here we didn't say that center 3 had to have 3 things, so it doesn't have to have the newsprint. All right, what must center 3 do? Really? All that work for that? Really? Plastic. It has to do plastic. Answer choice C. Oh, well. But check this shit out. Question 21. If each center recycles exactly 3 kinds of material, well, then we're just back to the work we already did. And we're saying that now, for question 21, center 3 does have 3 kinds. It's got the plastic and the tin. That means no glass and no wood, because you can't get wood and newsprint. You don't have room for it. So the only thing left, newsprint. So don't feel bad about doing quote unquote more work than you have to. Which of the following could be true? Only 2 has glass. No. Only 3, and that's a ridiculous statement. Anything 2 has, 1 has also. Only 3 does newsprint. No, all 3 of them are going to have to. Only 1 does plastic. No, not if we get all 3, because that means with all 3, 2 is the same as 1. Only 3 does tin. Sure, that's possible. Only 1 does wood. Not happening. All right, question 22. If center 3 recycles glass, all right, center 3 recycles glass. That means, and this is 22, That means that the plastic is not at center 3. You can't put plastic here because then you'd also have to have it here. So we're just going to put plastic right here. And that means that we can't fill center 2 with 3 items because one of them is not plastic. Once again, we can do this rule of 2 thing about the wood. Either we've got wood at center 2, in which case we bring the newsprint, and those 2 things have to be at center 1, or we do the wood at center 3 and bring the newsprint. If the wood and newsprint are at center 1 and 2, you have to have tin, and then, maybe we also have newsprint. If, on the other hand, the wood and newsprint are over at center 3, then we've got to have tin, and that means here and here. And now we've got to have at least 2 things for everybody, so this has to be something, and it's not plastic and it's not glass, and we can't put wood there, so it'll have to be newsprint. And we were asked what could be, which one of the following could be something at center 2? Oh, must. No, sorry. My reading eyes are failing me. What must we have at center 2? What could we have at center 2 would be wood or newsprint or tin, but what must we have at center 2 is just the newsprint. Okay, 23 is the only directive question we have left. If center 1 is the only one that recycles wood, all right, center 1 is the only one that recycles wood. So that means no wood here. And I also know that that means no 3 things here, right? Because if we had 3 things here, we'd have to have the same 3 here. All right, center 1's the only one that does wood, which means that it brings newsprint by rule. Now everything we have at 2 has to be at 1, so we got to have a newsprint there. And now we need a plastic, and it can't be here because we know these 2 are going to be the same, so it's going to be here, which means we don't get glass here. We have to have glass somewhere. And we have to have tin somewhere. And then maybe we have newsprint there. What were we asked? A complete and accurate list of the kinds of material that one of the recycling centers recycles. Okay, so a complete and accurate list could be G, N, and W, but we don't get a 3-item list. Could be just G and N, but we don't get that list. It could be just P and T. And hey, we do get that list. All right, that leaves us with only question 19, which didn't give us any direction, a complete list of the recycling centers that could do plastic. Well, we've seen that 3 can do plastic, we've seen that 1 can do plastic, and we know that 2 can't, because if 2 did, 1 would. So the list of centers, center 1 and center 3. That finishes this game, and that finishes this section. Thank Jeebus.